our practice, our tradition, is a practice of mindfulness, mindful living. Mindfulness to be understood as being awake and aware of what is going on each present moment of our lives. That's hard to do. Most of the time we are at least spending a good part of our day either engaged in a lot of different activities, multitasking, or we may be sort of absent-mindedly going through habitual patterns of behavior, things that we don't really give very much thought to. The problem is that we have moments, we have needs of each moment. There's needs that we have each moment of the day. And sometimes when we're not paying attention to what's going on inside us, for instance, either emotionally or physically, things can become problems that if we'd caught them earlier, we could have avoided. So it's about being grounded in the sense of being really connected to your body, to the sensations that you're feeling, to the things that are going on in your mind each moment. And our orientation, as it's taught by the Zen practitioner that we practice in his tradition, Thich Nhat Hanh, he's always orienting practitioners to be awake and aware in the present moment.
I've been meditating on and off for about 23 years. I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict, and I initially started meditating as part of the 12 steps of recovery. So I went to AA meetings, and one of the steps, the 11th step, stresses meditation as part of the program.
I was standing in a war vigil against the war in Nicaragua, and I told my friend that I was having a lot of trouble with my stomach acid because I was so upset, so angry about this war and trying to stop the war. And he says, you know, the Buddhists have a cure for ulcers. I said, oh yeah, very skeptical. And he introduced me to Thich Nhat Hanh and arranged for me to go to a retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh, and it turns out to be one of the most valuable things I've ever experienced in my life, transformative experience. One of the central teachings of Buddhism is non-attachment. Non-attachment does not mean you don't care about what happens in the world. It means you do what you can to bring about things as you wish them to be, and then you let go. I'm not responsible. I can't control what happens in the world. I can only control myself. The most I can do is to be peaceful with myself, deal with peaceful in my life in a peaceful way, try to convince other people, and then that's all I can do. And it's a great relief of anxiety to live in the world full of terrible things like wars and injustices, and to have a place to stand and a place to address those issues without losing myself and becoming part of the problem.
To me, meditation is kind of like, if you think about computers, it's like the reset button. Even most of the time you're using the power. Even when you're in the sleep mode, you're using the power. But, you know, complete shutdown and reset, kind of a quick and fast way to get back to what's more important. Living in day-to-day life, it takes a lot of energy out of you. Kids and talking to people, listening to problems that you want to solve or you can't solve. It's kind of interesting. I think meditation again is one of those tasks where I'm not seeking anything. I just want to be with myself and be comfortable. It's kind of like I was saying, it's kind of like the reset button where you are. Because when I'm not meditating and when I'm not mindful, I am trying to do something. Like example, if I see the difference between my 2-year-old and my 5-year-old. My 5-year-old, he can't sit still. He always wants to constantly do something. My 2-year-old is a little bit different. If I give him a task, he'll be a little bit more still. I think over the years, as years go by, I become more restless, and then I go back to, be able to reset when I do meditation. So it gives me everything. a new perspective.
I grew up in Pennsylvania as a young earth Pentecostal raised in the Assembly of God Church. As early as I can remember, probably 11 and 12, I remember seeing a lot of problems with, or contradictions in the church. Then I went to college, and from this very narrow view of the world, was exposed to many different people. It just didn't hold up anymore. The idea that everyone on the globe was supposed to find my singular view of what the golden ticket was to salvation, to be saved from hellfire. Buddhism for me wasn't a turning away from Christianity. It was more a turning inward to what I believed. And I didn't realize it at the time that I was stepping into a Buddhist philosophy, not Buddhism as a religion, but Buddhism as a philosophy, that whatever information I needed about the world, that I could trust my own intuition about the world, that I didn't have to look outside to a teacher to tell me what was the right action or the wrong action, that I could trust my own intuitions.
I guess the change really is, it was eating for me. It was diet, it was a motivation to lose weight, and that's been good. But then, of course, it gets into the more holistic view of everything, and it becomes more encompassing. So it certainly has changed a lot of things that I do. A great thing for me is when I start to diet, being 46 and not a small person, I've dieted a lot in my life. The one thing that really helped me was not to worry about the past, not to worry about the many times you've dieted before, many times you've done anything before, and not worry about the future. A lot of times when one starts to diet or starts something that's a long-term goal, you start focusing on that end goal too much, and then you get defeated because it takes way too long to get to it. So for me, the practice in that regard has helped me focus on the present moment, focus on what I'm doing right now, that I am doing this today. I'm doing it this hour. It's not about what I want to do tonight. It's not what I did this morning. It's not that I did something wrong or right this morning. It's that what am I choosing to do right now?
And my kids have gotten where they call it, Buddha Club. That's where they think I come on Sundays. I have always just, felt something calling from the shadows. Rooney wrote, your place is the placeless, a trace of the traceless. I think it's just a continuation of continuing to follow this path and see, where it leads, and because that's what it is. So, I don't know, just the background and the training, it helps me stay calm and focused when everything else around me can be, crazy sometimes. It just helps me maintain balance, and so that I can send that out into the world a little bit, and just any little bit you can do is helpful, I think.
All the conditions that we need right at this moment to be happy. If we stop thinking about the future or worrying about the past, if we can practice mindfulness, we can really be fully present and open to the experience. Sangha really did help me to be able to absorb and integrate the practice so that I can live in I want to say, I hesitate to say the word happy because there's kind of this concept that, everybody just wants to be happy. Like, if you go, to Walmart, you'll be happy. Or something like that. It's kind of this superficial concept, I think, in just mainstream culture. But the kind of happiness I'm talking about is the kind of happiness that develops after, it's authentic humanity.
For me, cultivating mindfulness means kind of seeing the world from different angles and not so much realizing that your point of view maybe is the only point of view, because too often we do think that the way we see the world is probably going to be the same way everybody else sees it too. And it's just, for me, that's kind of like, no, hold on, that's how I see it. That might not be how you see it. And it's about just kind of using that idea to like kind of make good decisions and do the right thing that, or at least the right thing that I can gauge from the situation anyway.
I identify myself as a Christian. I knew that I needed to meditate because my mind was always racing, and I had spent the last 30, 40 years of my life pursuing careers, raising children, being a wife, being a daughter, being a mother, being a boss, being a professor. I was just always running.
Whatever it is we want to do with our lives, and if one of those things is to understand the nature of reality, we have to start with instruments that are capable of perceiving things correctly, namely our mind. That's what everything sort of flows from in terms of what we're capable of understanding and in terms of carrying out whatever our intentions may be for ourselves. It starts with the mind. So mindfulness practice is about being able to learn some skills that will help us to be clear-headed, not absent-minded, so that we can be attending to what's going on when it arises.